right, so, and then are you on Zoom? Okay. So, and then are you on Zoom? Mute that. Too excited, man. Yeah, I'm on Zoom now. Are you in the same? You want me to send you the link again? Okay. I should play some music, huh? Get the vibe right. Some DMX. No, if you bug, boy. No, if you bug, boy. That's what this is what they were playing in Tunisia back in 2000. That's hilarious. This, You see it? I know which one. Okay, great. Great. And Grant is like put some Lil John on. I'm gonna put some Nuck if you buck. If you buck, that's a Crime Mob and Lil Scrappy on the A. What? No. It's so funny. So if you're joining right now, this is a conversation we're about to have about revolutions, just the revolutionary mindset and kind of what happened in Tunisia back in 2011, some of the parallels that are going on now between our United States, some of the issues we're having, and what happened in Tunisia. And but we're still getting set up right now, so just want to let y'all know. Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll send you the link again. Yeah, for sure. Um, you want me to email it to you? Okay. What's about to happen? Oh, the internet's acting slow. Is this what they did? Is how they try and hold you back? Let me get your email. Is how the internet's acting slow? Is that the people looking at it? Yeah, I'm on Facebook, I'm on YouTube, and then IG Live. So yeah, the Zoom is pushing out to all the others. Okay, sending it now. All right, so you got the password again. Yeah. Yeah. And if you have to drop in and drop out, I'll record it and send you guys the recordings. Do people like my glasses or? I got the blue blockers because I've been staring at screens a lot, so that's what they are. I got great vision, so. Did it come through? Did the email come through? Okay. Are you on? Thank you. Hey. Cool. People like the glasses. All right, I'll keep them on. The promo code. Yeah, I'll have the link in the bio for the promo code for the glasses. It's not a show about glasses. That's not what we're talking about. Oh, you're in. All right, cool. I'll unmute you. Yep. And cool. Did you get? All right, cool. Now where are you? Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, we can kick off. Okay. So I just want to. So maybe, well, I'll start off by introducing myself and you, and then we'll go into how we met, and then we'll.
And then if I want to comment.
Wait, hold on. Who's? I thought you could. Yeah, yeah. Just chat if you want to ask questions. All right, and I'll be monitoring all that. So anyway, so my name is Osan Tango. I'm based in LA. I'm a filmmaker. I'm originally from Chicago. I went to Georgia Tech undergrad and then USC for grad school. And I actually met Sadem in Greece. So we met in 2011 in Greece. But I'll let him introduce himself before we go into how we met.
Hear me? Wait, now. I think now you can hear it. Okay. So my name is Sadem Jebali.
I'm gonna turn my.
Can you hear it?
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay, cool. So my name is Sadem Jebali. So I'm 29 years old. I met Osahon in Greece back then as well. We were just chatting a couple. So my name is Sadem. Graduation in the US, and like I'm really occasioned to share some experiences between ourselves. So I participated in in the revolution as one of the young people.
Your video is gone on Instagram.
I'm not anymore on Instagram.
Yeah, your video is gone.
Wait, I will be back.
I'm live with.
Sorry, it's
between ourselves. So I participated in the revolution as well.
It looks like
I'm not anymore.
During the. Okay. All right. Cool. We're back. We're back. All right. We're back. We got you.
We're back.
But okay, so start again.
Yeah, so my name is Sadem Jebali. I'm a friend of Osahon since like we met in Greece in 2011, and it's like we kept in touch. And I think it's like we were just chatting a couple of days ago, and I was just asking about the situation in the US. I was following the news as anyone who watches news and the situation in the US, and it like he came up with this great idea of having this like anyone like he came up with this in Tunisia in 2011 and what's happening in the US. Sometimes it might be far, but it's crazy that there is so many parallels that we can make between both countries' experience, and why not share our discussion with more people than just ourselves. So thank you, Ozan, for this occasion and for taking the initiative to make this more than just some old friends catch up.
Yeah. And so apparently we're having a little bit of sound issues on Instagram, but I just wanted to keep the ball rolling. So we actually met in 2011 at this AIESEC International Train the Trainers meeting. So I was in Greece working abroad, and then I came to I was in Chios, and then I went to Athens and Delphi, and that's where we met. But it was in the middle of the swing of the actual like revolution in 2011. So I was staying in a dorm, and my roommate was Khalil. And was it Khalil or was it Ahmed?
Ahmed, it was Ahmed.
It was, yeah. But anyways, I was roommates, and then I was like, hey, we got to go to this event. We got to go to this play. And he was staying behind looking at Facebook and sending messages. And this is right after I had left CNN and was looking to go into film, but I just didn't know what the issue was, what I really wanted to do. But he was sending videos and different things through Facebook. And I was like, hey man, why are you playing on Facebook? We got to do this like seminar. And he was like, I'm not playing on Facebook. I'm taking care of my country right now. And that just hit me so profoundly. And we became friends, and we're sitting there time and whatnot. But at the same time, he was doing a leadership conference and dealing with like a revolution in this country at the same time. So these three guys, I got cool with, and we got to spend time together. And now looking at where we are now in our history, like they're 9 years ahead of us as far as with a large social change and a revolution that happened in there. And a lot of the things that we're dealing with right now is we're going out to protest. We're going out to do different things. There's instigators, there's agitators, there's different things, and we don't necessarily know what the future is going to look like for us. So that's one of the things I wanted to share, some of these parallels, because we were talking about some of the parallels that happened in Tunisia and are happening now.
Yeah.
And if the Instagram is distracting too much, we're just gonna kill it, and then we can just do the Zoom, and I'll post it on Instagram later.
As you like. I think it's like so far for me it's fine, but like as you wish.
Yeah, I don't know if this, I think we might have to kill the Instagram. Everybody on Instagram, you can go into my link. The link in the bio.
Okay, and then you can post it later on Instagram as well.
Yeah. Okay, cool, we're good. So yeah, let's jump off. So one of the things that we were talking about before was we were talking about the starting point, right? The jump off point.
Yeah.
And the jump off point for us, I'm hearing some echo. Anyways, okay, so the jump off point for us was was, you know, we've had this happen before in the past. We had a situation, we had all the situations that happened in 2014 that alerted us to, you know, this brutality, and then we had police brutality happen, and then we start having and then we started having a huge situation. I'm hearing all these reverbs, so I need to figure this out real quick. Sorry. Is it still reverbing? It's not echoing? Okay. So anyway, so I think the better thing would be for us to start from your perspective on how the Tunisian revolution started and the backstory on that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. When we were just thinking about how can we manage this. So what happened in Tunisia, like briefly in 2011, was triggered by a situation that might look a bit similar to what happened in the US like recently. So what happened back then was that like a police officer slapped a guy who was like selling fruits in the street, and this guy there was like a little fight between both of them, and then it's like she slapped the guy, and because of the feeling of injustice, he immolated himself. So this guy, this situation happened in the south of Tunisia, in a place called Sidi Bouzid, and so the south of Tunisia, like this human interaction created a snowball effect on a later stage. Within a month time, with protests all over the country, it ended up after almost like a month with the ousting of our dictator, and like he left the country. So I'm not saying that like this is a clear parallel between what's happening in the US and what's happening now, and what happened in Tunisia like 9 years ago. But I think there is some similarities when we think about injustice, when we think about marginalization of certain category of people. And this guy used it to represent the unemployed youth in Tunisia that was marginalized by the system back then and by the police state. So he was representing like different people who are from different regions in Tunisia, where the government was not present enough, was not supporting the development of those regions. So there was some systemic marginalization of people that led to that action. And this is what they call the Tunisian Uprising or the Tunisian Revolution. And I need as well to mention that this kind of uprisings happened before in Tunisia, but didn't lead to a revolution. So it's important here as well to make a parallel with what's happening in the US, that like in 2008, we had different demonstrations and protests, but there was nothing that was like concretized by the end. So this brings the question that we might be speaking about later on, which is sometimes things happen and continue until the end, until the concretization of something big. Sometimes it just vanish. So I feel that like maybe this is what I felt from your side when we were speaking earlier on, is like this is a bit of questioning that maybe a lot of people are asking themselves. So what's next? How can this not vanish and lead to something positive?
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, we talked about that, you know, in America we had this happen. Maybe we can here. Can you mute on your side for a second?
Okay.
So in America we had this we had an uprising in 2014. That's when Black Lives Matter came into, you know, full swing, and it was, you know, we had Tamir Rice, we had Sandra Bland, we had all these different people that were unjustly treated by police officers. marginalized people that were unjustly treated and brutalized by police, and the people just said enough. So we're standing up and we're protesting, and that happened what 5 years ago. So in Tunisia, you guys actually had something happen in 2008, correct? And then it finally came to a head in 2011. So there's certain parallels because you're talking about the marginalization of the coastal versus the inland people, and it looks different. It just looks different, but financially we're in different situations, and it's showing up. So I'm just drawing these different parallels so we can go into this. But as we're taken to the streets and we're doing different things, and police forces being put on us, some of the things that we're seeing is there's infiltrators, there's agitators, there's people coming into different crowds and making peaceful protest violence then that are not part of the actual protest, right? So when we were talking, you said beware of the infiltrators and the people that will try and hijack the different the movement. So can you talk to us a little bit about what that looked like for y'all? Sadem. Oh,
In some
can you
cases.
start again?
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I was still on mute. So, like I was saying, this is like a classic trademark of different regimes, and it happened in Tunisia when, like, you have people all who, and this is like, I have to say that you have two aspects of it. You have an aspect that, like, some people are looking for violence to seize some opportunities, and like this can be like random number of people, and then you have people as well who are trying to like to shape a new image of the protest or try to destroy it from within. And we had as well this kind of situations when people were protesting. And the idea is to create fear among a large number of people in society and citizens who would be thinking about like the trade-off between security and freedom. And I'm thinking about like the trade-off between. I think this is what it came for at some moment. Actually in Tunisia we had the opportunity, and this is an important as well aspect, that back then in 2011 social media were still some moment the neutral space for information, and this allowed a lot of people to not look at what's happening on the mainstream media and just to take information from social media and discredit what the official media is showcasing, which is that those people who are introducers, they want to bring chaos to the country. They are against. They are not patriot people, and all this kind of propaganda to some extent. Taking into consideration that today in the U.S., after what happened as well in the election, in the last election, social media are questionable when it comes to the statement that it's a neutral propaganda to some extent. Taking into consideration that today in the U.S., what happened, I wanted to tell you, Ozan, is that like maybe as well relying too much on media or social media, on mainstream media or social media, this should not prevail in the actual situation. Maybe coming back to the basics of the neighborhood, of the community communication, of looking for alternative ways of communicating or sharing ideas, exactly like we are doing right now. This might be some of the start, maybe coming back to the basics for a solution or for discussion.
And it's things is and if the sound went in and out at all, he was talking about how social media was relatively new at the time, and it was 2011, so Facebook was relatively new, especially in Tunisia, and Twitter had just started, and they were able to organize on there without like the higher ups being there. But seeing as we've had our past election hijacked by Russia and people on the internet, yeah, is the sound good on his side? Can someone answer?
Um,
Seeing as we've had our election hijacked already, and there's bots and there's different things and ways to manipulate, and we're already seeing people from anti-sympathetic groups coming to rallies in full gear and leaving bricks on the side of glass buildings to try and incite and get the revolution or these movements to move in a direction that entails a lot more chaos. We have to be a lot more grassroots. We have to be a lot more focused and vigilant on the different things, and we have to come from a place of unity, consciousness, and come from a place of community. And that might be us being underground, having Zoom calls so we can actually see who's talking and where they're coming from and what's their agenda. So that's kind of talking about that. But we can even lead into like who. Well, another thing you said immediately was make sure the kids are involved, right? And I wanted to for you to elaborate on why you said make sure the youth are involved.
Okay. So actually, it's like when I was thinking about what could we do different if you are back 9 years ago. I know that this is a question that maybe give us, now that we have some distance, how can our experience as well inspire other people, and maybe in the US. So the issue about our experience is that the revolution was made by youth, and it was hijacked by like the seniors or the older generation, and those people, like, I don't like, there is a certain gap in understanding life, or in having different perspective to life. This is the first aspect of this. The second aspect is like, it's not like the future for someone who is 50 years old is not the same future as for someone who is 20 years old. And this is bringing us to the question that, like, I think one of the key features of success for the movement that is happening now in the US is to as well give as much space to younger people, because younger people are the ones who will feel responsibility towards what's happening, are the ones who would be taking over the situation, are the ones who would be thinking ahead about what would be coming next, because if they own this cause, they will be able to give it momentum, to give it pace, and as well to give it certain sustainability. And this is a bit like what happened from my personal experience. If I was not there, like feeling that the responsibility that, like, what happened back then, what happened because I was involved, because I have some ownership in that, even though it's like I'm not satisfied about a lot of things that are happening now, but I know that, like, I did contribute to that, and I have some responsibility to keep working on making things better for my country here. So I did go to my country here. So I think involving more people who are 19 years old, 18 years old, even sometimes younger, to the subject, getting their point of view, giving them, I think, giving place as well to speak and to go on the front lines for this is crucial. And as well, this is something that could have gave us in Tunisia better results after our uprising in 2011. Because right now it's true that Tunisia is somehow one of the democracies, or the only democracy left from the Arab Spring. The rest, because right now in Tunisia, it's somehow for securing this. And securing this means that not taking for granted democratic principles. This is, I think, a big lesson for the US. It's like, it's true that you have democracy since like more than 200 years, but like it's not about having. It's like, if the democratic principles are not embedded in people, what you are living in is not a democracy. So this is coming through the generation, through the renewal of principles for every generation. So this was my point, also, that I wanted to as well to share.
No, 100%. I was snapping. I just had it on mute because I feel like that's the thing. Like people have said to me, "Oh, we need laws to change." It's literally it's against the law to kill people. You know, like that's not the issue. Is they're not being persecuted for doing it, and people are watching it, and people are letting it happen live for 8 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the issue. It's the heart. So if the democracy, if the humanity, if the empathy is not ingrained in someone else's heart, into their soul, and they're not seeing the unity between someone else, that's the true issue. And some people, it's going to be hard to change them, but the kids, we actually can plant seeds. We can actually change them in the future to actually be more empathetic and actually share and have love and kindness and unity. And that also brings us to the question, like what is the real question, right? Like we're coming through a place where we've seen this cycle happen before in our experience. It's happened in different countries. We've had this cycle keep on continuing to happen. So the question is, how do we stop the cycle? How do we stop this karmic debt from coming back and back and back and back into our lives? How do we stop it this generation right now? Right? Like, how do we do that? And I think that's one of the things. So with the Tunisian Revolution, after the president's ousted, we go into a space where there is no police, there is no government. What does that look like?
Yeah. So like what happened was like we had more than a month of like blurred situation, if we can name it like that. So it's like technically people went back to basics, because starting from the moment that like people were afraid that the protest started after the protest ended, and then it's like we had thieves who were going to shops by night, thinking that okay, now there is no more dictator, there is no police, there is no more police, there is no more security, so we can do whatever we want. So the citizens went back to the basics. So there was something called the neighborhood committees. Every neighborhood, they had people who were protecting the streets by like every evening, but at the same time, it was as well a space for discussion, a space. It was the first time that people were experiencing democracy in a way, or freedom of expression, not democracy, to a certain sense. And it was really interesting that like this connection, it was one of the, until now, even if you ask someone who is Tunisian, he will tell you that it was one of the most bounding moments for like the citizens of the country. It was one of the moments that like that unified the whole country, that you know that you are part of something bigger than you. And I think like maybe patriotism should as well be back to that kind of basics, or back to the sources. It's not about like loving America as a country and that's it, and showing it by just having the flag, or just like doing some or just speaking about it. It's not about like loving and showing. Maybe it's about as well acting about it, and it starts from your neighborhood. It starts of a community which is part of a region, which is part of a state, which is part of a country. And I think it starts from like the common field a lot to develop this common belief about the situation in the country, to discuss this, to get to know, as well to get some certain awareness about the situation in the country, certain trust among communities. And I think this is maybe what it needs to come true in the US. Maybe it can start from like, if someone is asking himself, what am I supposed to do? I think it's like you can still act within your community, at least like get to know some of your neighbors, and maybe organize like little meetings or in the for your community, and discuss these ideas. So this is what like one of the things that really worked well, and this is one of the things that for those who are wondering, what am I supposed to do? So it's like this is one of the things that you can do.
Yeah. So community activism, local level connection, and building that. I think that's going to be inherent. That's going to be a little bit challenging because of coronavirus and the scares with that. But at the same time, we have to make every effort in order to do that, to really connect with each other, because I think that's inherently what we're dealing with, like the lack of connection, the lack of transparency. So we need to exercise. And so kind of what I'm thinking, what I pulled from that was I was reading this book, Bell Hooks talked about a love ethic. And it's like you're actually practicing love every day in what you do. And what does democracy look like? Is it, and if it looks like love in your heart of hearts, then practice it. That's beautiful. I think one of the questions I was asked to ask you was, what was a moment that kind of turned the tide? Because I feel like last time this happened, it fizzled out because and people said, "Oh, we got body cams now." Okay, and we just fizzled away. What's something that turned the tide for you all and really made it go over the hump that people didn't think it could go over?
I think the moment when you have like a synchronized protest all over the country with the same message and the same claim. So I think this is one of the strongest moments or like feeling that you can like experience that like the slogans for the Tunisian uprising were about dignity, were about as well economic needs as well, like in economic uh, claims, and were as well about a certain status of human rights. So it's like, but it was expressed in a very clear, popular message. Uh, it was like we can live on water and bread, but for a longer time, but we don't want anymore this dictator. So it was like it was a big no. I think this is interesting because it's like I think it's a bit the case as well in the US. It's like a big no to injustice, a big no to what happened to Floyd. So it's like I think moving from a big no to next step, which is it's like those are the message. This is the claim, and this is what should unify people through all over like the US. And it's interesting because I was just watching the news and like there is protest about what's happening in the US in Germany. There is like German, and it's interesting because I was in his T-shirt as well. Um, um, Word or dedication saying that this goal what I scored was for justice should be given to Floyd. Um, um, Word or goal, but as well it needs to get back that like to a certain message and claim, and this should be more structured in the US.
Wait, so there was a German soccer player that took off his shirt and he said, "This is justice for George Floyd." Okay,
Yeah.
so that because I remember, I think we talked about this a while ago. It was like when Obama said something, then it became a little bit more real. Was that you that I was talking to about that? When it's like when you get backing from someone outside, or is
What?
that was that not that? To them, you're on silent. You hear me?
Ah, now I hear you. Yes. No, I think like yeah, it's like it's now. I think you need to get to the next level. So it's like I think the claims are clear, but like it needs to be structured, and then it needs to be clearer. And I think from what's happening, it's still escalating the situation in the US. So so from what we have seen, at least here, at some moment, it's like it's reaching a certain plateau. So I think there is a need for like synchronizing all the protests across the US and making a clear message for this. Like, of course, this is not about violence. A lot of people would try just to challenge this and saying it's about like it's not anymore the time for peaceful protest. But this is not the case. This is wrong. It's like it's never the case. It's like persistence will pay for sure. I think in the US, and this is another opportunity for creating real change. So it can start by someone like you who is just trying to get inspiration and attracting other people at your level and generating a discussion, generating as well opportunities to develop critical thinking. And this is from where it can start. It doesn't need always a leader for this kind of for change to happen. In our case, we had no leader. We had no one who was saying, follow me. So it started in a spontaneous way and it continued. Because as human beings, as you were just speaking about, it's like if you don't feel that, if your heart is connected to other people and you want to reach or secure democracy, it's not going to be made by other people than you. So like every one of us can do it.
One thing that I was talking about you earlier with was I woke up this morning and my fists were balled up and I was just shaking. I was just rattled and frustrated. And I've been, usually I don't do this. Usually I'm like, I keep my phone off so I can work and focus and keep my clean space and meditate and be peace and love. But this shit's been pissing me off so much. And I was just I was excited for this conversation too, because I'm trying to figure out the best way to act. And I was talking to my mother, and it's actually it's interesting because on Mother's Day I called my mom, and my mom before hanging up the phone, because Ahmaud Aubrey had just passed, was like, "Don't go jogging. I love you. I don't want to see you gone." And I was like, that's the only way we can exercise now. And I just had to say, I love you too, Mom. And this is Mother's Day, right? Like this is what, Black men have to think about on Mother's Day, which was sad. But it's been like this, and it is the sign of the times too. But another thing that I wanted to like push into was like that frustration and that anger and that pain, because she's also telling me don't go out and protest, and there's certain ways that I want to go out, but I also don't. I'm gonna go see my parents, so I don't want to be at risk for coronavirus and all these different things. So we're in a I don't know who to move towards, and like a certain amount of we'll say civil distance. At the same time, we want to be smart. When I was telling you about that anger that I had, that frustration in my hand shaking when I woke up in the morning, you told me something that was pretty interesting. You said act. Can you talk about like that and how mental toll and all this stuff happened for you all, and what you guys did to act productively?
Yeah, it's like just like to give you a little story from like 9 years ago. So I'm living in the neighborhood in the suburbs of Tunis, and the protest didn't start in Tunis. In the beginning, it started in some of the marginalized regions, so which were in the south. So like 300 kilometers from my place. Okay, we downsized geography because for us 300 kilometers or like in miles it will be like something like 260 miles, which is nothing in the US, but in Tunisia it's a big thing. So so it's far for us. So
Yeah.
Just
think about it in perspective.
Exactly, putting it in perspective. So it's like imagining that this stuff are happening way far from my place. So until the moment that you start watching it on your mobile phone and you see that like people are getting beaten there, or like or the police is just shooting tear gas bombs in heads of a journalist, and then like he's killed, he dies there. So at that moment it's like, at least for myself, even though it's like I have some members of my family who are in the who are in the in like not like the national guard. It's like it's not the police, but they are still from the same background. um, they were telling me don't go. It's like it's coming in Tunis. It's gonna be like coming for the next days. So don't dare to go out. We know how the forces of the order will act with this. And like at some moment, I just said, oh, no, I can't stand this. I'm going out. I don't know. I've never been politically active before 2011, but at some moment, I felt okay. I think deep inside, I have the feeling that I need to do something. So at least if I can't, or I can't write down thoughts and like inspire other people, or like or invite other people to think about this, I'm going to the street, and I'm as well pushing other friends to go out. I know that like this is not as easy as it is the case for you. It's like you have the COVID and everything, but still, it's like I think at some moments the human brain can surprise you with the ideas and the innovation that you might bring uh, to succeed in what you want to do. And I think this might be the case as well for you. It's like you can start with like little discussion, like we are having right now, and this can escalate to direct action. But like the feeling or like the frustration, at least in my case, it was helpful that like I'm I'm like I'm not accepting the status quo, and I'm going out to try to change or like to act, even though it's like I'm not sure about the results. It's not a structured action, but it's a start. So maybe I will find other solutions in the way. Maybe I'll find other people who will give me other ideas. But at least I think the decision to be made is like to leave your comfort zone first, then try to reach out for help or for advice from other people. So try to not be by yourself, and then it's like try to find out the best way to act as a group. So collective action. So I think it will be those three stages that would be helpful uh, to be made whenever you feel frustration, like this morning, and the same frustration that I felt 9 years ago when I used to wake up every morning and look to my Facebook, to find out that like what's happening to other citizens just like me in other places of Tunisia. We might not have the same background. We might not be the same. It's like I know it's like it's not to put things in perspective. Um, it's not the same division that might not be the same that are happening in the US based on race. So it's like race is a big thing there, and I know that like this is structuring the society. But like you can focus on the differences, but you can focus as well on the similarities. So in my case, it was like, okay, maybe I don't know, like maybe I don't know those people who are not coming from the same background to some extent, but I know that what's happening is wrong. So and this should not continue. So this is it.
I feel you. Two other things I wanted to comment on was mind state, right? Like I think about mental health, I think about tenacity and persistence. So you talked a little bit about having a persistent, peaceful mindset, but like what is your mindset when you're in the crowd? Like because I saw certain things. I think in Egypt, uh, I think like the Christians were holding hands or in blocking so the Muslims could pray, and different shows of unity to connect with spirituality and a mental capacity that we're respecting each other and showing dignity between ourselves and that. But then we also have people who are agitating within the crowd. So if you're walking in a protest, you got your sign and you're walking in, towards the front lines, and the cops are pushing people back, and then you see somebody agitating and spraying something on the wall. How um, what's your mindset in that? What is it sharp, like don't do that, this is how we do it, boom boom boom, or is it like, hey, let's all come together? Like, what's that look like?
I think it's like it's first it's like trying as well to stop this, because like when you see something wrong you need to stop it, but at the same time it's always interesting in this kind of situation that like you are not the only one who's saying to stop it. It's like you are trying as well together as much allies as possible, because if we are talking about one person, if he is meeting only one person, so he might get in to the clash and try to come up to maybe to violence or to fight. But like if you have a group of people, this is why it's like it's really important that like it needs to come by yourself, but as well like if you are in a collective set of action, so you have more people with you who can put more pressure on this kind of behavior. And as well like civil society organizations are really important for this kind of movement. In our case, it was like the big union back then that as well helped to structure some of the protests, helped to structure as well like the way that it's made, and help it as well to control the intruders. I'm sure that in the US, like you are well organized in terms of civil society. So maybe as well, the answer might be coming as a complementary answer from there. So it can be important as well to reach out and then to look at what's existing in terms of civil society nearby you.
Okay, that's great.
That's great.
um let's see, does anybody in the audience have any questions about this? Because I feel like we went over a lot. I think there's nuance to all of this, and it looks different, but there's so many similarities that I think the biggest thing we're looking for is like, okay, what does it look like moving forward? I've seen some people talk about defunding the police and like, you know, trying loosening the jail or releasing the jail, and I don't know how that's going to look because we don't have our community task force established yet, so that could look bad, especially with all the issues we've had, especially with gun violence and everything. But that might be a solution. But what is it going to look like? I know one of the things that I was reading about the Tunisian Revolution was after, um, I think even 5 years after, the economy was still rocky for certain people. So there were, self-immolating, burning themselves, and there was, I think, 2,000 suicides in a year or something like that. It was a really high number. So what are some of the things? What are those pitfalls after you get kind of what you wanted to overthrow? Because the government or the powers that be are still ruling the cash flow and like still affecting people in different ways. So, what are some of those pitfalls and things that we need to avoid?
Yeah, it's like honestly, for our case, we are far from saying that we succeeded for our revolution. So it's like I think success for revolutions, even throughout history, this would come after 20 years, like or like 30 years. Like you will start feeling. So maybe 2 generations. We always say that like after revolution, like there is 1 or 2 generations that should be sacrificed. And I think like, and by saying that sacrificed is like, so it's like they're making an effort to give more hope or to give more space for the next generations to have better future. So I don't think it's a matter of like how to structure, or maybe if you don't have yet the task, like the community task force, it's not a reason that like but like it gives you as well space to reflect, to think, to structure. It's like action is not only about just going to the street. It's like doing a petition, or like as well to putting pressure on your constituent. It's like it's crazy how human minds can come up with alternative solutions if you're really willing to make that change. But it's important as well that like in the aftermath of that, things would not change quickly. Like we had 5 years, and we had people who became skeptical about the revolution, and until now we have as well politicians who want to get back to the old regime style of governing, for the simple fact that instability, economic instability, economic and security issues and concerns make people think that maybe it was not worth it to have this freedom. Maybe it's like it's better to come back to the old time. And this is like, I think, a big question that might arise for the US. It's like at some moment, the security agenda will be back again, really, really back. And people might be as well asking if their life is stopping, and it's stopped already because of the corona, and then it's stopping because of violence all over the streets. Maybe it's like the case or the dignity or the cause in itself might be marginalized, and this should not happen. And this should why I think it's like you have a span of time that you need to act within it. And by act, as we were talking about, it's like it can have different forms, and this should not happen. And it's like trying to come up with the common ideas and stuff that are unifying people. That's one. So in our case, we are still struggling until now, 9 years later, but we have the possibility to act. If we didn't went to the street, and if we didn't, like 9 years it happened back then, with the common ideas and start able to speak about such topic. It's like if I would be speaking about such topic, I would put myself in danger of going to jail because I'm challenging the status quo.
Yeah.
But I still have the possibility to act right now, and I think this is what it's because all about. It's like it's gaining like the war battle by battle. So I think it's like we need to think about the first battle, challenging cheese as well. It's like this is during some gains for this, and then building on that. This is what is not keep fighting for this. We need to think about the first battle, which is as well for the situation, especially that with the context of the corona, it can't sustain for the next stage itself as a movement. So I think the renewal should be coming from.
Can you say that again real quick? It got a little mashed up on my end.
I said it can't sustain itself if it's not renewing itself, and the renewal is coming from how people are owning the movement, and how people are thinking about the future of the movement. So, and this is what it's all about. So I think that, and the renewal is coming from the movement, and how people, the ownership and the willingness to give it certain renewal that would sustain. So I think it's like the ownership, and that would sustain. This is what can be the starting point for the reflection on this.
Yeah, ownership. We were talking about that too. Ownership, how the Black Panthers created their own medical society, children, feeding children, having education for children, having community block militias, different things like that. So those are all in the community, and then investing in the children so that they can own it, and us all owning our part of America, rather than hating America for not being just.
Yeah, and that happened in a context when like the state abandoned completely those citizens, so they needed to reorganize themselves. And I think at the moment it's like this should be the point of no return that is dangerous to reach, because if the citizens, they are feeling that the state is not able to provide the necessities that are available, so they will look for alternatives, and the alternatives can bring different kinds of scenarios. It can bring the scenario of violence. It can bring the scenario of well-organized communities. But like within all this polarization, it's like it's still a no man's land, or like an unknown territory that if reached, it needs to be reached by people who reflected enough on what they want to do next, and not just like people who are uncertain and just like improvising at the moment. So this is why it's like this kind of situation is like it needs to be taken with some caution, because the moment that you know that you can trust the state, you're gonna look around you, and when you're looking around you, you need to find as well way to communicate with those people, and as well you need to have clear mind with clear ideas about how you want to move on.
Okay, that's what's up. That's a word. That's a word. So I want to wrap up with what does life look like for you now? I know you went to Berlin and studied there, and what's life look like for you now? What's going on in your life?
It's a nice question. It's so actually I'm back here. I finished studying. So I started a couple of projects before leaving Tunisia, and I felt that like I can have a nice life far from from my country, but like I feel like I have an opportunity to make change here happening. So, and I think it's one of the best feeling in the world that like you are writing the history of your country and of your fellow men and women in the future. So I think this is one of the inner motivation that brought me back home and made me think about changing and concretizing what I have seen starting like 9 years ago. Is like last year as well, I got engaged in a political movement. I was trying like to push from different sides, civil society, political movement, trying to influence around me other people. But I think this is a lifelong lifelong project. So this is one of the reasons why like, I'm back home, and I think it's like this is one of the reasons that will sustain as well my passion, because I have seen things changing to like I have seen the status quo changing like a couple of years ago. So I still have the belief that like things can change as well again. So I think this would be the message, that like when you have a synchronization of will of different citizens, and as well well thought ideas, you can create miracles. So, and I hope this will be the case as well for you, Osan, and for your fellow citizens. Is like to stop injustice and then create a new set of values that can be shared by people in the country, despite all the hate speech, despite all the polarization between different ethnic groups in the U.S. So it's like this would be my hope, at least for the U.S. that it will be ending this injustice, and maybe as well as like giving a new hope for the next generation. Maybe not we are not that old, I know, but maybe for the youngsters who would be taking over this fight.
Amen. That's love, man. I appreciate you, man. You sound like you got like this very strong, like you're holding a frequency of like hope.
Like you're holding a frequency of like hope,
And I really appreciate how you do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's it. Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I'm thankful. I'm thankful for the people, for the people who participated, for those who took the time to listen, and I hope it was useful for them to participate and to learn maybe more about the situation, about what happened in Tunisia, and about the parallel with now with the US. I'm thankful to you, Osan, for this great initiative, and I think it's like, I hope as well. Talking about hope, this would be the start of other positive action that will lead you to having your little impact and maybe inspiring other people as well to do the same. So hope to keep in touch, and maybe we will talk in a better
Hey,
context.
man. Yeah, come through. Come to LA once this all clears up.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, for sure. All right, man. Alaikum salam.
Peace. Bye bye.
Peace.
Ciao.
Peace. Bye.